place where jump around is always play.
Sirius XM, Big Ten Radio, Channel 372.
It's Schick and Harris on Big Ten this morning.
Matt Schick along with Anthony Herron, all things Big Ten. We're talking some conference realignment. We'll do that coming up. Also some flashbacks to Big Ten Media Days. We heard from P.J. Fleck earlier. Let's welcome in R.J. Young, National College Football analyst, host of the #1 show at Fox Sports. Did some good stuff there at Big Ten Media Days, and R.J. Young joins us now. R.J., thanks for being with us again here on the Big Ten channel. Saw some of your videos that you did there, sitting down with coaches and players at Big Ten Media Days. What kind of stuck out to you, a moment or a story that you were able to glean from the guys at Indianapolis? And thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Matt. Anthony, good to speak with you again. My favorite story actually took place off camera. So I just got done speaking with Ohio State head coach Ryan Day, and I thought it went well. We had fun. I encourage you to go check that video out and check out the #1 ranked show. So he and his group get up, they leave. We are in a room to ourselves, myself and the crew. And about 30 seconds later, we're talking about the interview. We're post-gaming it. Ryan Day walks back through the door. And I'm like, oh man, what did I do? What's wrong? What did he leave behind? All these things are going through my mind. And he stops in front of me and he says, are you the R.J. Young from Twitter? And I'm like, yeah, coach, I am. Oh yeah, I love you. You're great. You do a great job. Let me shake your hand. Okay, good to see you. Let me know what you need. That was my favorite story from Big Ten Media Days.
Now, wait, hold on a second. So he sat with you, did the interview, talked with you, said, okay, I'm R.J. Young, and you do the interview, and it wasn't until later that he came back in and said, wait, I know who you are. Like, what was ringing the bell there? Did one of his handlers say, hey, do you know who that was? Like, what happened?
I have no idea. I like to think that he rattled the name around in his brain for a little while, and then he walked back in. But you know what? I didn't lick a gift horse in the mouth. I just said, thank you, coach, and kept it moving.
So, all right, you can update me on this, because as I'm looking at your Twitter timeline, it appears that as you sat down with my old coach from my time at Iowa, Kirk Ferentz, there's a story where apparently fellow Hawkeye and College Football Hall of Famer Bob Stoops somehow saved Kirk's marriage. So you know a Kirk Ferentz story I don't even know.
I don't know. We'll find out. So I asked him if he could share a story about Coach Stoops on the show, and what folks could get out of getting to know Coach Stoops. And he said, Coach Stoops saved my marriage. And I was like, oh, what? Turns out Ferentz was trying to paint his house for his then engaged fiance, right? And he needs to finish his house before they get married. And he doesn't know the first thing about painting a house. Bob Stoops is a grad assistant who had just graduated Iowa there, and he spent most of his summers and a lot of his days during the week with his father painting houses on the side. So between Bob and Kirk, they were able to knock out painting that house. But Ferentz said that, look, if he hadn't helped me, I'd still be there painting this house, because I still don't know the first thing about painting a house. And for those of y'all that have never painted walls, never painted a house before, you can screw this up really quickly if you are not performing the correct technique. And I won't go into that. I will just say that I, too, have painted houses, and it's not as simple as it seems.
Matt Schick along with Anthony Herron here, along with R.J. Young. So, R.J., outside of that, what was kind of your overarching takeaway from Big Ten Media Days as we look ahead to the season?
Folks are optimistic, man. There are people that feel like they can chase down Ohio State. There are folks that feel that they got better through the transfer portal, to say nothing of recruiting. But that group of coaches and players, for that matter, were so grateful to know they're going to be playing in front of people in September. Like they underestimated how important that part of the game was for them in particular, so much so that they would hear the crowd noise being pumped in and they would look around going, please stop doing that. This is eerie. This is weird. We don't like it. Many of those players and coaches missed games. I even asked Day about, how do you come to the decision that Larry Johnson Sr. is your interim when you can't go to the Michigan State game last year. They're looking forward to not having those problems. Now, we'll see if they have those problems or not. But that was the overarching takeaway I had, is that there are a bunch of folks in the Midwest that want to play some football, and they are excited to play some football in front of you and me.
And, of course, as a lot of the conference media days were really in full swing, the news ends up breaking about Texas and Oklahoma heading to the SEC, and it's been getting worked on for months. And it felt like just over the span of less than 48 hours, it went from here's a couple of reports of something that might happen to it's official, and they're going to be in the Southeastern Conference. Well, what's your opinion just on how that played out and what it may mean for just the what we think of as collegiate athletics and its alignment?
I equated Oklahoma and Texas leaving the Big 12 to a divorcee, right, who announced that she got up at 9 a.m. in the morning. She goes to the courthouse. She files papers. She comes outside and she yells to the entire town that she is single now. And the SEC is the most powerful, richest suitor in the entire town, staring her up and down. Okay. This quickly became a shotgun wedding because it felt like everybody figured out at the same time, OU and Texas is pregnant, and we got to make this, we got to make an honest grouping of you. We got to get this union together. We got to make sure that everybody on both sides of the aisle feel good about this, and we got to do it right, quick, fast, in a hurry, because that baby's coming, okay? And that baby ain't going back in there. So we want to have a nice, happy family by the time that baby gets here. And that baby was going to be here by 2025, but now your ex-husband's over here like, oh, you've been pregnant the whole time? Okay, well, then I got some words for you, and I want to make you speed this up as well. So you end up with a 16-team SEC. But my problem here, and I think y'all are with me on this, is they just signed a new deal at ESPN, and you got 16 where they had 14. You got to redo the scheduling, and you got to figure out how you're going to slice this thing up. Like, there's so much going on behind the scenes that doesn't have anything to do with the football on the field that fascinates me, and those are the things you actually have to figure out, because I'm sure you guys have had as much fun as I've had talking about what the league could look like and what that could mean for college football, because, hell, that's what Sports Talk Radio is built for, right? It's built for doing just this. So to know that all this stuff has gone down, and we're probably going to see OU and Texas play an SEC game no later than 2025, if not earlier, I'm excited to see what that looks like. But I came up in Oklahoma, which is to say that I came up watching Coach Stoops' teams, and I don't have any, like, great affinity for the SEC because I'm so used to Oklahoma trying to beat one of those teams for a national championship or a bowl game, like whether it be the Orange Bowl in Auburn or the national championship game against Florida, and on it goes. So that's going to take some getting used to. I'm not exactly happy about it because the Big 12 is, that's my childhood, and I understand the Southwest Conference is somebody else's childhood, and Oklahoma's been a part of a big something since 1919. So I'm getting used to it myself, but this is the brave new world. I'm curious how y'all guys are treating it up there, because it feels like y'all get to be sitting happy with your league that's been around since the Olympics started in 1896.
It's, the Big Ten is in a good spot. I think the question is, can they stand pat, or do they need to be proactive and try and seed 15, 20 years down the line? What does the SEC do? The last thing you want to do is add teams just for the sake of getting to a certain number if they don't add incredible value to what you have. I just wonder do you think the Big Ten should be proactive in attempting to add certain programs or universities, and which ones would those be, or do you think they're good sitting still here for a little bit?
I think if the right program came to you and said, hey, what do you think about kicking the tires like on this, which is what I think OU and Texas ended up doing the SEC, you got to hear it out, right? So who fits that? Notre Dame for starters, right? But does Notre Dame need that deal, although they'd be a natural fit? So if they came to you, I would have to listen. That would be a reason to expand the Big Ten to me. The only others are a couple teams in the Pac-12 that are upper echelon teams and really are the identity of the Pac-12, like a USC, right? And lately, in Oregon. But I don't know how coastal you want to be as the conference that is settled in the Midwest that didn't go so well for Big 12, even as you add West Virginia, whatnot. After A&M and Missouri do what they're going to do, say nothing, Colorado join the Pac-12. So I'm with you guys. I see if you can add value there, somebody that can help you raise the price tag, yeah, absolutely. Somebody that can help you raise the level of competition, absolutely. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that y'all should go be getting Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, Kansas just to get 16 teams or whatever, right? I think you're fine. And I hate to say it, but as I said, y'all get to sit back there eating popcorn watching everybody else lose their mind over this.
Yeah, the Big Ten could certainly be in a worse position than they are right now. It's the I guess the predictive end of what they should do. That'll be the difficult part, like you were just discussing right there. Curious, on the field, as we look at this coming landscape for the fall football season is going to be upon us here, there's a lot of quarterback names that are there where big things are expected out of, but a lot of the most prominent programs who we're accustomed to, Alabama will have a new starter, Clemson will have a new starter, Ohio State will have a new starter. So from that end, do you feel like the biggest stars that we know about going into the season will be the biggest stars in college football by the end of the year?
It behooves me to say no, right? Because I'm in the business of finding those new stars and also people making themselves known here. But Bryce Young's a known commodity, right? Even if he has not started at Alabama. As a matter of fact, we were talking about that dude might put old Matt on the bench last year, right? And that ain't happened. Mac went out there and led them to a national championship. Mac Jones, for those of y'all that need the name. But DJ Uiagalelei at Clemson is not a new starter to me. I watched the boy bring him back from 18 down against Boston College in his first start, and I watched him go for 439 through the air against a team that played in the playoff. That kid's a star, and y'all are going to get to know him really well. I'm so interested to look at the Ohio State one up here, right? Because I'm hedging over here and saying, Ryan Day's going to do what Ryan Day does, but I'd be shocked if it's not C.J. Stroud at the end. Problem with all of that is whoever gets into the driver's seat of that F1 race car has never driven an F1 race car, and that's going to be the pressure, right? Which means I think that Ohio State's going to be a running team for the first half of the season as that guy gets used to, hey, this thing is finely tuned, and all I got to do is keep it on the track. Because you got Olave for explosive plays. You got a 5-star true freshman tailback at Travion Henderson I know is the goods. Like number 32, Scarlet and Gray, is going to change the way you look at that running back position. But that's the one I'm watching because none of those dudes have thrown a pass in college, Jack Miller and Kyle McCord being the others. So we get to see Ryan Day make one up out of whole cloth once again, and that's usually been his bag. Outside of that, Sam Howell is getting all this praise, but he doesn't have any of the dudes to help him get to be who he is, right? Daz Newsom's gone. De'Ami Brown's gone. Mike Carter's gone, right? All those dudes that helped him get there, he's going to have to break in some new talent over here. I think if you're betting on a returner at quarterback and you want to know who's going to be the best, I'm going to bet on Spencer Rattler in Oklahoma, all right? That's the team that I picked to win the national championship 2 years ago because I saw how it was coming together. And he has a year of starting a full season of football, and he's got the best natural arm I've ever seen with my own two eyes. Like, the boy flicks the wrist like Cheddar to connect, and it goes 70 yards downfield.
Flicks the wrist like what? I missed that. Cheddar to connect?
Nah. Look, come on, Matt. Don't make me put you on blast like that. Cheddar to connect. Look at the flip of the wrist. Look at the flip of the wrist. No? Come on, Matt. I'm trying to – look, man, just stay up with the times, Matt. That's all I'm asking for you. Just stay up with the times.
I would like to tell you that Anthony had the same puzzled look, but I won't throw him under the bus. Thank you.
Oh, my gosh.
Right, great stuff, man. We'll do this again. Thanks, buddy.
All right, Matt. Anthony, appreciate y'all.
Thanks, RJ.